Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm new here, so I might seem a little nervous. I'm excited to share our story with you guys. To start off, the reason that we are starting YouTube is because our 4-year-old son is autistic. They haven't necessarily put a label on him in terms of what category he falls in, but he's non-communicative right now, which means he's more on the severe side, as well as being bilaterally profoundly deaf, which means he cannot hear anything. When he was 11 months old, he got cochlear implants, and now that's just become like a normal part of our day. Sometimes we forget that he's deaf because he can hear so well whenever he has his ears on, is what we call them. And when his ears aren't on, it's not so much that we remember he's deaf. We just think, oh, he can't hear you. His ears aren't on. So put his ears on and then repeat what you were going to say. And then we say that to each other, my husband and I, or we say it to other people. Like if they try to say something to him, we'll just say, oh, his ears aren't on, which is actually kind of funny whenever you're not in our household, if you were to hear something like that. But in ours, it's just totally normal. It's every day, multiple times a day. His ears fall off just if he's rolling on the floor, or if he's upset, he rips his ears off, or if he was outside getting wet or taking a bath and he doesn't have his waterproof ears on. There's a lot of reasons why his ears come off, and we're just constantly putting them back on. That's just a part of our life. But when my husband and I were first given the information or the news that he was bilaterally profoundly deaf, it was a hard pill to swallow, but overall we had come to terms with it rather quickly, and my husband was really great and really strong and kind of saw it as like, like somebody that needs glasses. And so that helped me kind of come to terms with just what life was going to look like. Like, okay, he has this hearing impairment, but it could be worse. And I remember saying, at least he's not autistic. That would be the worst. That would be my worst case scenario, because I could deal with just about anything else. Obviously, besides like cancer. That is a given. You don't want your kid to be hurting. But autism was like the only thing to me that I couldn't do. I needed my son to be here. I needed him to be aware of the world around him. And not to say I'm super smart, but like my husband and I both have a good understanding of the world around us, and we got good grades in high school, and and I went on to further my career, and we both have good jobs, don't get me wrong, but we both work really hard to like understand the world around us, and we really wanted that for our kids, as anybody does. That's not anything new necessarily, but when we got the autism diagnosis almost a year ago now, and still burns really bad to know that your kid is different. Don't get me wrong, we love our kid. We love him so much, and let me tell you, I married the right man to have an autistic son with, because Ricky and Dom, like, you just don't know where one ends and the other one begins. They are just so inseparable. They're best friends. Like, Ricky likes me, but he loves Dad, which is so sweet. Like, it doesn't offend me. It makes me just have so much happiness inside of me. Having an autistic son is just about the hardest thing that I have ever done. Obviously, he's mine and I love him so much, so it's not something that I would trade. And that's, I think, part of my journey, is the acceptance and the appreciation, because I've accepted it. I know that my son is different than other 4-year-olds, but it's the appreciation that I'm lacking right now. I don't know, I've just heard so many stories about autistic kids and who they grow up to be, and that they change the world. And okay, I'm down for that. My son's gonna change the world whether he was autistic or not. Like, I intend on providing whatever opportunity for him I can, which kind of leads us to our second son, who's 2. His name's Robbie, and he is so sweet. He can be sour, but he is so sweet for the most part. And he's 2. And he's a boy, so there's where the sour comes in. We are in the process right now of figuring out if he is autistic also. In my heart, I want to say no, but I don't know if that's because I truly think that he's not, or because I'm just so scared that he is, because it petrifies me more than anything ever. Because some days I wonder, how am I going to survive this, being a special needs mom? And then to the extent of thinking, how am I going to survive 2 special needs kids? It's really daunting and overwhelming. But obviously, if he is, I will love him through it, and I will do whatever I can to give him the very best life, just as I assumed to do with Ricky. That doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. Not that anything worth doing is ever easy anyways, but sometimes it's just, I just wish things were easy. And then I think, well, if that meant that we wouldn't have Ricky, then obviously I want it to be hard. Not asking for punishment, but Ricky brings so much greatness to our lives. And it's hard because we have 2 sides. We have my family, and then we have Dom's family. And my family have a lot of kids. None of them are special needs, and they all are traditionally developing. They do not understand Ricky. They love him. I know they love him. They are kind to him whenever they have free hands, but that doesn't happen very often because there's a lot of kids on my family. There's 5 girls. We all but one have kids, and I'm sure the other one in the next few years will be having kids. And then there's my husband's side. There's no kids over there. So I assumed that since there were no kids and Ricky was the very first one, that everyone would be doting all over them. Well, there's only boys on that side. There's 6 boys. And I don't know if it's just because they're boys, and so boys aren't as close to little kids, or if it's that, I don't know, they're not in that stage of life, so they don't understand what it's like to have kids, or if it's just because Ricky's different than the other kids that they've ever been around, and so they don't want to be around. And it truly breaks my heart. And some days I let it break my heart more than others. I really dive into it and let all my emotions out and cry over this same ridiculous stuff. And then other days I'm like, your loss. Which sounds ridiculous, because nobody comes over. We don't have company. And it makes it even harder because Ricky is not familiar with anybody except for Dominic's mom and dad. They are phenomenal. They're not together, but they both, for the sake of Ricky and Robbie, are just amazing grandparents. They love them so much. We don't see them as often as I assumed that we would, especially how much, it's clear that they do love their grandkids, to the moon and back, and would do anything for them, so evident. But I just assumed that we would just, especially with both of us having such big families, I assumed that we would have so much company. But the one thing that's really the hardest thing that I find about the special needs dynamics, at least with our home, is that it's really lonely. Ricky, because he doesn't talk, he doesn't get to behave like a regular 4-year-old. And I just assumed I was going to be able to be that person with my kids, and that's not the case, and letting go of that stuff's really hard. But it doesn't mean we don't love these other kids. It's just really hard on our heart because the jealousy just like eats you alive. I wish so badly that that was not the case, but it is. And so not having anybody like, and I hate the idea that I'm constantly throwing myself a pity party, but there's just a lot of really sad moments. I hate thinking that other people are feeling bad for me, but I bring it on myself because I want somebody to talk to, because I want to forget sometimes, or I want to feel like Jackie and not just a special needs mom. It's really lonely. I wish it wasn't. I am in search. I am in need of a place to feel accepted, of a place to feel needed. I allow other people to walk all over me, and then I get my feelings hurt. When, as my husband says, I should have just walked away a long time ago, but I don't want to hurt people's feelings, and I don't want to let people down. I don't want to say no. I want to feel needed, and I want to feel special and important. But because we've kind of had to seclude ourselves from the rest of the world, because Ricky doesn't do so well in places he doesn't know. He doesn't do well with people he doesn't know. He's a runner and he has no sense of danger, so that's just always in the back of my mind. It's really hard to go anywhere or do anything unless I have him like constrained into a seat or a cart, like at the store. He does pretty well. I mean, I constantly have to be on him. I can't be like one of those moms that just lets their kid roam and then they just say like Marco Polo or whatever. I literally have to have a hand on him constantly. Like even if I'm looking at the cereal, I'm holding him constantly because he will run away. He will jump over the cart. So it's scary, but nobody else in my world understands my life. So I thought, if I go on here, maybe somebody will, and maybe somebody will help me through it, and maybe I'll be able to help somebody. And that's all I want to do. So, I want to show you guys my beautiful family. But that will be next time. So I will show off our 4-year-old Ricky, our 2-year-old Robbie, and my amazing husband, Dominic. Life has not been easy since we've become parents. And I'm sure that goes for everybody, but it's just been like an extreme case for us. And I'm so lucky that I have him. I might not have anybody else, but he's my person. I have him, and he lets me know that I have him. The reason that I made this is because we've been struggling to find the good in life lately. It seems like there's been a lot of things, a lot of changes for the both of us in our jobs. And this wonder, this beginning assessments for Robbie, not knowing where we're headed with him. And Ricky, we assumed, obviously, that he'd be at least communicating by now, but we're struggling with that. There's just a lot of things that just aren't going right now. Not to say that it won't later, but for my peace of mind or my sanity or whatever you want to call it, I need to know that there's other people out there. I need to know that there's a family that I can belong to. So, we definitely will be living on the highs and ignoring the lows, even if the lows come much more frequently. We will just ride the highs as long as possible. And I hope that I can help somebody out there. And I hope that people reach out to me and let me know that they've gone through this and that things get easier. That's a really big, scary part of autism. I have no idea where I'm headed. Blindly just loving my babies. So, as I know I'm not the only one, I wish you all the very best today, tomorrow, and every single day. Goodbye.